As he proceeded to explain to me what my diagnosis was, he teared up. And it was very hard for him to even talk me through it. So I'm looking at him thinking, like, why are you crying? And the words that I heard were invasive ductal carcinoma. Just kind of breaking it apart and thinking logically, words, invasive, taken
Invasive.
over. So the simple way is it was cancer in my breast tissue. All those thoughts are going through my head, and it was, what do I do now? That's what I was thinking. What do I do now? Like, okay, I'm not in control anymore. My body's failing me. What do I do now?
Hello, family, and welcome to Armed with Your Testimony podcast, where we are unleashing the transformative powers of your God given testimony. And yes, I said yours because each of you have unique experiences that God will use to impact and encourage the lives of others. And if you haven't guessed it already, I am your host, Tiffany. And I know you just met me, but I still want to ask one favor, and it's to subscribe to this YouTube channel, follow us on all social media platforms, and share this with someone. That way, you can stay updated on all new monthly episodes when they drop. I really do hope that you enjoy this podcast. The episodes starts now. Hello, family, and welcome back to Armed with Your Testimony podcast. And I'm your host, Tiffany. Today, I'm excited because we are honoring breast cancer awareness, and we have not only a survivor here in our studio, I was about to say audience. Might be some survivors out there, but we have a survivor here with us, and she is truly an inspiration to countless others. So help me welcome my sister girl, Amanda Durant, to the podcast. Welcome, girl.
Thank you. Thank you. I am so happy to be here with you today.
I'm glad you're
And
here.
I'm so proud of you for having your podcast.
Thank you
This is
so
amazing.
much. Thank you so much. And how you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. Blessed.
And you
And
look
like they
good.
say, highly favored.
Highly favored. You look good though. You don't look like what you've been through, as they would say.
I know that's right.
And y'all, I'm just going to start off by saying this. Breast cancer is the second leading cause of cancer death in America amongst women. So I have a walking miracle sitting here with us on today. I don't take that lightly, and nor should you. You probably have some people in your own personal life that has survived breast cancer. Don't take that lightly. We just praise God that they are here with us on today. And like I said, they are walking miracles. So are
Right.
you ready to get into your story?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. But before we get into that real quick, I just want the men. I need y'all to lean in on today because when you think of breast cancer, we always think about it in women, right? But guess what, men? 1% of all the cases are breast cancer happening to men. So I need you all to be aware of that. Did you know that?
I did. I did. It's actually something that most don't understand and realize, but you got to think about it. Like our bodies, right? Men have breasts. They just don't look like women. But generally speaking, you don't see it a lot. You don't hear about it a lot. But yeah, it happens.
It happens. And let me tell you, I was at work, right, having a conversation with one of my coworkers. And I'm thinking that, I'm about to hit him with some stats that people probably don't even know about, especially when it's in regards to men. And so I said, listen, did you know that 1% of cases is in men? And he hit me back with, yeah, did you know that Richard Roundtree had breast cancer? I was real humble in that moment because I'm thinking that I'm telling him something new, and he knew the knowings of the knowings. So I took my little humble self. I went back to my desk. I looked it up, and for sure, Richard Roundtree. You know who that is, right?
I don't.
The Richard. Oh,
Unless
sorry
you
to
want,
clap.
unless you want me to act like I do.
Go ahead and act like you do. It's the original Shaft. Shaft.
Oh, okay. I'm embarrassed now. Cut.
Oh my God. I mean, it's an old, show. A lot of people out there now probably too young to even know what that is.
Me
But
being one of
me
those.
being,
Oh my
my
gosh.
grandma used to watch, so I was watching too. So that's how I know. But yeah, I went to my desk and I looked it up, and for sure, he was diagnosed with breast cancer back in 93. He went
Oh,
through a
wow.
double mastectomy.
So I
And
guess, was it because he had cancer in both breasts,
I
or he
believe it
just,
was in both breasts.
oh
Yeah.
my
He had a
gosh.
double mastectomy and chemo, and he became a powerful breast cancer awareness advocate on behalf
Wow.
of men. So, men out there, and I'm gonna say it like you said it the last time. If you can massage by your mate, just go ahead and let them check you out, to see if something is there. And if something is there, like Amanda said, don't suffer in silence because we
Mm-hmm.
know how you all don't like going to the doctor, but we need you to go to the doctor even more so and then do your checks just like how we should do our checks as well.
Right. Men can have a breasty too.
Yes. Oh, and she's gonna be my breastie, y'all, because I have to have a mammogram done. I'm 40 now. I know I look 20. I'm 40
Yes,
now.
you do. Yes, you do.
I'm 40 now. So I have to start having mammograms, and she's going to be my breastie. I'm going to let her know the results, not y'all. Not y'all. Because she's my breastie. But moving on to another stat that really touched me is to know that 1 in 8 women, which is about 13%, will face invasive breast cancer in their lifetime. Minority women, did you know that we're 38% more likely to die from breast cancer than women? So we need to be educated and know the different types of treatments that's out there, because you never know if we may experience breast cancer or someone that we love.
So true, so true. And I think that in the interim, it's important that we do preventative things
That's
to
good.
try not to get breast cancer, right? And it's not just breast cancer, it's any disease for that matter,
That's
or
true.
any type of cancer because of our environment, our foods, and all those things. We're, constantly dealing with that on a day to day. So we want to make sure that we incorporate things into our lifestyle that's going to help us prevent ourselves from getting it.
And a final note, and this part actually gives us all hope. There is over 4 million breast cancer survivors here in the
Yay!
United States, and we got one in our midst right now. Let's go ahead and get into some of the questions that I do have for you on today. And I'm quite sure that you all are waiting to hear her story. So, can you kind of like describe the moment in which you felt like something was wrong? Something led you to say, "Hey, let me make an appointment with my doctor because I'm not feeling something that's normal."
Sure. So I was just doing a regular check and it seemed a little weird because it didn't seem right. I, like so many other women, have dense breast tissue.
Okay.
And I should say I had because I don't have breast tissue anymore. But, and with the dense breast tissue, when you do your checks, you kind of know where the lumps and bumps are. You're used to what your breast tissue feels like, right,
Yeah,
during
for
your
sure.
normal checks. So as I was doing one of my checks, I noticed that there was another lump or bump that I wasn't used to seeing before. So that made me go ahead and schedule my annual with my gynecologist. And in doing that, when I called in, I let the representative know, this is what I am experiencing. And she was like, oh, you don't want to play with that. You want to make sure you get in. And, I'm like, okay, yeah, I heard about breast cancer before and I knew it was a thing. But I did not see it as, oh God, let me hurry up, let me go, because I think I got breast cancer, right? So
Right.
many of us are not thinking that way.
Certainly.
So, long story short, went in and went through the different radiological exams, and at the end, that's what it was.
Oh my God, how did you feel in that moment when the doctor kind of like said, "Hey, I need you to come in. Need to discuss some results from you." Can you walk us through that process of how that happened? Were you at work,
Sure.
home?
Yeah, I was at work when they called and asked me to come in. Went in to see the doctor, and it was just a different experience because I knew that, first of all, whenever you get exams or tests with your
Yeah.
doctor, you expect that when you don't hear from them, things are fine, right?
Right.
But when they do call you and something's off, something's not quite right. My mind wasn't really there yet because I was still kind of in work mode and I was a little bit bothered that I even had to go in. But the way that the rep explained it to me was that the doctor just wanted to go over a couple of things from my exam. So I was like, okay. So I noticed it was a little off when I went in because my gynecologist, it was hard for him to really explain to me what he needed to explain to me, right? So I'm
Right.
looking at him like, okay, what's up?
Tell me right now.
Right? Like, you got me here. You made me leave work early. I'm here, right? So, as he proceeded to explain to me what my diagnosis was, he teared up. And it was very hard for him to even talk me through it. So I'm looking at him thinking, like, why are you crying? You crying like, am I about to walk outside and die? Like, why are you crying?
Yeah, that would have
Right?
kind of
That's what's
like,
going on in my head. Like, you supposed to like know what's supposed to happen and how to, fix medical issues. And I'm thinking, okay, I need to pay attention to what he's saying. Right? That's what kind of came over me. And you want to be somebody. You
you
want to
want to
go
go somewhere,
somewhere.
you
Gotta
better
wake
wake
up
up
and
and
pay
pay
attention.
attention.
So,
I can't sing, so
me
don't.
either.
Yeah.
But hey, that's just a quick insert.
Yeah.
But either way, I'm like, okay, I need to pay attention. So I did. And the words that I heard were invasive ductal carcinoma. Don't know what any of that meant at the time. Just kind of breaking it apart and thinking logically, words, invasive, taken
Invasive.
over,
Yeah.
ductal, okay, that's in my breast, presumably, because he did say breast cancer, and carcinoma. I don't know what that means, right?
I
At the
don't
time.
either.
So the simple way is it was cancer in my breast tissue, carcinoma being cancerous, right? So I was numb. After the fact, I learned that anytime he has to share that type of diagnosis, they never let you leave alone because in the midst of you even driving, if
It may hit you.
right, and they don't want to put you in that situation, so they wouldn't let me leave until I called someone to come and escort me home or take me home, whatever. But it was an experience that I don't want to experience again. It
Yeah.
was words that I don't want to hear again as it pertains to my health or anyone else's health. And at, I remember that day very, very well. It was like I was outside, and when I walked out, of course, and I'm outside and I'm just looking around, it was like I wasn't even there. It
Like
was
an out of
almost
body experience, like
totally.
slow motion.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it was like when he said those words to me and started the process of trying to overcome the situation, it was an out of body experience. I don't think I really got back to who I was because at that point I didn't know who I was. At that point,
Wow,
I'm
that's
kind
powerful.
of,
You said you didn't even know who you was.
no, because
Because moments ago you knew who you were. But in that
exactly.
moment you knew that your life would change forever. So it was a new you.
Right. And I didn't know what that was going to be because not being very astute to what breast cancer was because it wasn't close to me. No one in my family, no close friends or anything like that. I knew that you see it on TV, you hear people talk about it, but up close and personal with me, I didn't know what that meant. And from those things that I saw on TV, it was always horrific. It was always, you're not looking like yourself, you've aged, you've lost your hair. It's so many things that I could sit here and say about what we see when we see people going through cancer. It's not what you want to
Experience.
experience. So
Yeah.
it was, I think, I would have to say it was definitely life changing. But at that moment when I heard the diagnosis, it was an out of body experience, is how I would put it.
Did you break in that moment or
I did not break until we got off the phone with the breast surgeon and when she committed to seeing me the next week. And I think I was still processing,
yeah, of
thinking
course.
through, like, okay, so he's crying, something's major. He has the surgeon on the phone. So I'm just kind of processing this in my
Yeah.
head and I'm just kind of like looking at him the whole time. My eyes did not move off of him. I'm just like glued to him.
You was in shock
I
a
was.
little bit.
And after he got off the phone with the breast surgeon, That's when I broke. I was all tears. I didn't understand how I, at that point in my life, was experiencing something that I barely knew about or that I didn't even know was
Possible to happen to you anyway.
right, right. So I was stuck.
Yeah. So it makes me think back to when you said that, when he gives those diagnoses to his patients, that they want someone to be there to take them home. So who was the first person that you called? Because essentially it had to be someone who had to come meet you there and take you home,
Right,
possibly.
right. So in this area, I don't have a lot of my family here. I have a couple of sisters, cousins, and friends, of course. The person that was closest to me to reach out to was my sister, Roger.
Okay.
She's in the medical field, so I figured it was best to ask her to come. And also, it was not as inconvenient, I thought, because she lived near the medical facility where I was. So I was like, okay, well, this will be easy. She'll be on her way home from work anyway. So I called her. In fact, I didn't call her. I had to give the number to the
Oh wow.
representative. They called her
Oh my God.
because I was crying too much to even
Try to.
explain to her what I needed her to do.
Wow.
So when they called her, I heard them, like kind of in the background. The nurse was basically saying, "We have Amanda here, and she asked if you could come be with her. She's going to need someone to help her go home. We just went through some of her medical information, and she just needs some support." That's all they had to say to my sister. She didn't need anything else. She was like, "Okay, I'll be there."
Wow.
So although I was crying before she got there, I don't think I truly, truly broke until I saw her. Because all I was thinking was, I'm the youngest of eight sisters, and my apology, I'm getting
No,
emotional.
you good.
All I was thinking was, I'm the youngest of eight sisters, and everything that I've tried to do was to be successful, be on the right side, and, just be a good person.
Yeah.
So when I like laid my eyes on her, because in my family, I always wanted to be like, I wanted to make a name for myself. Anyone wants to make a name for
Mm-hmm.
themselves, right? And I felt embarrassed that my body wasn't following suit with my mind because my body at that time I felt was failing me. And when you are in a situation where you feel like you can't control what's happening with your body,
Mm-hmm.
that's a hard situation to be in
Yeah.
because you can't fix it.
Mm-mm.
At least in your head, you're thinking, I can't fix this. At
It's out of
least
your control.
at that time, that's what I felt. I can't fix this. And although I made the statement, okay, am I going to walk out of here and die?
Mm-hmm.
That's really what I felt. Everything flashed before me. Like we don't sit and we don't think, okay, I'm going to be 100 years old, right?
Right.
But we don't think either, I'm not going to make it to that,
Yeah.
right? What we think is just life goes on. It's going to be great. I'm going to do the things I need to do. And I know for me anyway, I'm not thinking I'm going to expire before a certain age.
Yeah.
But in that moment, that was the huge part for me. It was like, okay, I'm not going to be here to do the things that I thought I'd be able to do. I'm not going to be here on this side of the dirt. I figured it was over.
Your mortality becomes very real
Yeah.
in moments like that.
Yeah. So, and I apologize for getting
No,
emotional on
this
that,
is
but
where you can do that. So lean into it and
yeah.
feel the emotions.
So when I saw her, she embraced me. I fell in her arms. Um, all those thoughts are going through my head, and it was, what do I do now? That's what I was thinking. What do I do now? Like, okay, I'm not in control anymore. My body's failing me. What do I do now? Like everything that I've already thought that I was going to achieve, that I, had on my list of things to do, from being a professional woman to potentially being a mother to potentially, doing all these other things. Am I going to be able to do any of it? So I would say, um, anyone that's going through that experience, while it's a hard thing to hear, and it's definitely an experience that you don't want to have to deal with, but if by chance you have to,
Okay.
just know it's not the end. And I say that because the main thing that helped me with Roger, when she came to get me and she took me back to her house, that's where she took me. She took me and she said, "We're going to get through this."
Right.
She took all of, you know, she basically stood there. She dealt with all of me crying. She was very compassionate as it pertains to my feelings, but her way of helping me through it at that pivotal point for me was, we're going to get through this. But you
Yeah.
can't control what God has in store for you.
Yeah.
You just know that, whatever He's taking you through, it's something that you can handle. And I think with this experience that I went through, it got me to a point to realize I'm okay if it's time for me to go.
So did it kind of like increase your intimacy with the Lord and how much
Totally.
you depended on Him? Because I mean, something as overwhelming as breast cancer can be, right? It can seem like this big mountain to climb. And we need His grace, we need His mercy, we need His strength day to day, though, to get through a challenge like that. And it kind of like brings me to the scripture that I like because it helps me when I'm going through something very tough. And I think it's Matthew 6:34 when it talks about, and I'm not going to say it, the scripture verbatim probably. I might mess it up, but you're going to get the gist. It says, don't worry about tomorrow's trouble, for today's trouble is enough for today. So you have to allow yourself to live in the present,
Yeah.
right? Live in the present. Don't think about what may happen tomorrow because you could take yourself down an emotional spiral
Right.
of where things could go, and it may not even go to death, lead to death,
Right.
right?
Right.
So you have to depend on God to cover the future, but help you to just get through the now moments.
Absolutely.
Take baby steps, one appointment at a time,
Mm-hmm.
one conversation at a time,
Right.
one victory at a time, one setback at a time. But
Mm-hmm.
to just live in the moment and not let the future that we have no control
Right.
over to consume us.
Right. I completely agree with that. It's just important to realize that the trials and tribulations that we have or will experience, while they're not things that we want to have to deal with, figure out how to deal with it and move on. I had to get to a point, like I was
The help of
mentioning,
the Lord.
to realizing, okay, if it is my time to go, I'm ready to go. Not that I'm about to go kill myself or anything like that, but it's just, okay, if this is what you expect, Lord, if this is, you know, if I've done everything that you needed me to do on the earth and
Right.
it's time for me to go be with you, okay. I had to come to that realization after my journey. I wasn't there at the point when I
Of
was
course.
diagnosed. I came through that as I went through my breast cancer journey and realizing I'm here as a vessel for God, right?
Yes,
We all are here as a vessel for God.
that's
And
true.
whenever He's ready or whenever He feels that we've done what He needed us to do on the earth and it's time for us to go be with Him, who are you? Who am I to say, no, it's not going to happen, right? If that's your will, have your will, have your
That's
way.
good. Let your will be done.
Yeah. So we're going to experience things. Some things are going to be harder to deal with than others. I think the key that I learned from experiencing breast cancer is do what I can to prevent it from coming back,
Yeah.
be a testimony to others, and share what I learned through that process that could potentially help someone else, and live a life that's fulfilling, that has a lot of peace in it, a lot of happiness in it. Surround myself with, you know, people that are going to bring me joy because you don't know what tomorrow holds. And as simple as it sounds, life is very short. So the time that the Lord allows us to be present on the earth and to do what it is that He needs us to do, really be present, enjoy it, do it.
And be intentional about
Right.
fulfilling the purpose He has placed on your life.
Absolutely.
Another question for you here. In most cases, people diagnosed with breast cancer have a few treatment options, such as surgery, radiation therapy, or chemotherapy. Would you like to share what type of treatment you went through?
Sure. So initially, when I went to the oncologist to come through what that treatment needed to be, what was recommended to me was that I should have chemotherapy. She wanted me to do chemotherapy for a series of, I believe it was like 8 treatments. And that meant she wanted me to go have chemotherapy every week for like the next couple of weeks. The amazing part with all of this was when my gynecologist introduced me to my breast surgeon. She was the best.
That's good.
And in being the best, she kind of went through everything with me to the point of when I did have that meeting with her where she, went through the initial stages of what I was going to go through and what I needed to expect. She set me up with everything. She educated me so well. And one of the things that she shared with me was, I'm going to make sure I take you through every step that I need to take you through as your breast surgeon. And she was also, she had certification in oncology as well. So she said, I'm going to take you through everything so that you are empowered and you
That's good.
know what your options are. Because at your age, it's going to be important for an oncologist to make sure the breast cancer doesn't come back or cancer doesn't come back. So they're going to give you the most strenuous treatment plan that they can come up with.
Okay.
So during my surgeries and all of the assessments and things, it was determined that my breast cancer was only in one location. It did not
Okay.
metastasize. And when I had the double mastectomy, they were successful in getting all of the cancer out that they
Praise
saw.
God.
So, in doing that, my treatment plan didn't need to be extensive to the point of getting chemotherapy or anything like that. Now, mind you, it is important to note that when you go and you have the type of surgery I had or any surgery to remove the cancer, there's still some cancer cells that could be dormant, and they can't necessarily see them, presumably. So that's why they generally want to take you through an extensive process of doing radiation or chemotherapy, what have you,
Okay.
because of what they potentially can't see and what they're trying to make sure, is not trying to.
So it's like an extra preventive measure, if
Yeah,
you will.
well, I don't know so much that it's an extra preventative measure. I think it's more of let's do this because she has breast cancer. We need to make sure we get it out. We need to make sure there's nothing there that's left. And we need to make sure when she
Okay.
leaves and gets past this, there's no opportunity for there to be anything to reoccur.
Right.
So, in my case, because my surgeon had educated me so well, she had already told me basically it's completely up to you and what treatment you take on. She said, but just understand that because of the type of breast cancer that you had, which, and I'm just going to say it in layman's terms, it was a slow growing breast cancer. She
Okay.
said that the type I had was what they generally saw in older women. So she said it was pretty interesting at the fact that I had this type of breast cancer that they generally see in older people. So it was growing slowly.
That's a blessing in disguise, though.
Totally. And so she educated me to understand that it was my option, my choice, but to do chemotherapy would have been a bit excessive because they had removed it. The cancer I had was slow growing, and I did the genetics testing. And with the genetics testing, it was determined that it was not in my genes. So there was like so many things that kind of ruled out the need for me to really go and have this extensive treatment to where I challenged my oncologist when I initially met with her when she was telling me that she wanted me to go through these rounds of chemotherapy. I challenged her, told her everything that I learned from my breast surgeon, and questioned why do I need to do this. So that night she called me back and she told me basically that she presented my case to the group, and she said based on their assessment and their findings from what they saw in my chart, they agreed
Yeah.
with me that to do the additional chemotherapy or to do the chemotherapy was a bit excessive
That's
and it
it.
wasn't really required because of my stage, the type of cancer, and the fact that my surgery was so well, where they were able to get all the cancer out, presumably. So I was able to avoid that. But one key thing that I want folks to take away from this is you need to know your own body, and you need not just go to the physician to get their determination of what you need to do. You need to educate yourself, do
Yes.
your research. I'm not saying that everything you may research and find on the internet is going to be completely fact based, but at least educate yourself enough to ask the questions.
Yeah.
Don't challenge the doctor to the point of being disrespectful, but just ask the questions because you have
Yeah.
that right.
Okay.
So, without doing the chemotherapy, the thing that I did was, as I mentioned, the
Surgery.
surgery.
Yeah.
And then after the surgery, I did have to take some medication. I had tamoxifen, which I hate because it was debilitating because it made me feel like an
Oh,
older
wow.
person. It was like my body ached and all those different things. It was almost like every side effect that the that the pill bottle had, there was at least one I was gonna get. I'm gonna
Right.
get one side effect. I already realized that. So I was on the medication, and then I had to go through a series of getting shots in my stomach
Oh,
over
wow.
a course of 7 years. And those shots were basically making sure that my hormones were under control. Because the thing that fed my cancer was estrogen and testosterone.
Okay.
So they wanted to make sure that they kept my levels correct so that
Correct.
it wasn't feeding into any potentially dormant cancer cells.
And so you
So
don't have to do the shots anymore.
I'm not doing the shots anymore, but I am still under care of my oncologist and just making sure that some of those, I guess, checkpoints or things that they do, nothing's reoccurring or coming back up. Now, in the midst of all of that, from the point of the diagnosis to today, I've learned so much because I've taken it up on myself to do my own research, pay attention to, the things that are out there as far as alternative medicines, natural
Yeah.
things to do, the preventative things to do, and I've incorporated those things into my lifestyle. Now, a lot of our physicians don't believe in, some of the natural treatments or
It's
some of
good.
those things that are not in alignment with Western medicine, but that's okay. There's just so many different things that you can just do to kind of apply it to yourself. Now, why did I get breast cancer? I still don't know why. I don't think anybody can really say why
Right.
unless it's in your
Hereditary.
genes. Yeah. So
Yeah.
if it's not in your genes, then it's like, why did I get it? So I'm also very aware that cancer comes about presumably because of our environment, because of our foods, just different things. So we need to be cautious of that.
As
We need
well.
to eat healthy. We need to live healthy. I have to admit that I'm not 100% a healthy eater, but I
Me
try to
either.
be more of a healthy eater than I am of a dirty eater. And I call it eating dirty when
Right.
you know you're not supposed to be eating that. But I'm human. We're all human, right? So I like to always just think about it as in things in moderation. Some people don't agree with that. They're like, no, you just don't need to do it.
So, breast cancer and choosing to have a mastectomy, right, can really shake up how a woman feels about herself, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally too. Did it affect you in any way?
It did. It messed with my self confidence. So one thing that my breast surgeon, my cosmetic surgeon that is, did was made sure I understood that I need to be ready for the phases that I was going to have to go through, from the double mastectomy to the cosmetic surgery and how to deal with that mentally,
Right.
how to realize physically I'm going to look different and I'm going to go through this transitional period. And I just needed to understand that it wasn't always going to be pretty. It wasn't always going to be where I'm going to look like the me, the person that I was pre breast cancer diagnosis.
Right.
So I think that with him talking me through that and making me realize that, it prepared me. So I was ready for it. It didn't hit me as bad as I thought it would.
That's really good.
I think it's because I knew that I had already made the decision that I was going to roll right into cosmetic surgery. So because of that, I dealt with it okay. One thing I think is really important when it comes to breast cancer that I think a lot of people don't really focus on is, to your point, when you lose the self confidence, you can get into a depressive state. And I had
Yes.
to acknowledge that. I didn't realize that I was becoming depressed, but I was, and I did. And I had to get myself out of that when I came to that realization and accepted the fact that I was actually depressed. People don't talk about it much, but it is a thing. And that self confidence piece is what kind of triggers that for you to become depressed. So you have to realize, okay, let me prepare myself. Let me cry if I have to cry. Let me, ask the questions that I need to ask. Let me prepare myself. I know I can only speak about it from my perspective. And then what I experienced was needing to understand what I was going through at that moment, what I was going to have to deal with going forward, and making sure that I surrounded myself with the people that I felt close to. And the other thing that I did for me was put myself in a box so that when I got to that point of realizing that I was depressed, I was able to take myself out of it.
So no counseling or anything. You didn't
I
need.
didn't.
You didn't need that.
I did not
Okay.
go through talking to a professional.
Right.
I did talk to God a lot
Okay. Come on, Lord.
because I had to
Yes.
go through that phase of when I realized that my body was failing me, that it wasn't my decision to make.
And who else can mend your body? Who else can bring you back to total healing?
Exactly.
But the
And
Lord. So,
exactly. And to the point that I was making earlier, we're here to do a deed that the Lord wants us to do. We're his vessel, right? So in that, I had to realize, okay, Lord, you're taking me through this process for a reason. And even if it's not something that I want, there's some good that's going to come out of it
Yes.
for
All
him.
things work together for
Now,
the
I
good.
can't say that I know all the people that I may have touched through my process, but one of the things that I did start doing post my surgeries and things like that was reaching out to other women that were going through breast cancer. In so many cases, I was their
That's so
person
good.
that they were reaching out to. I had experienced it. I knew, the things they were going through, and I was just kind of giving them the insight of what I experienced,
Yeah.
and also kind of giving them that encouragement that it's going to be okay and you're going to be fine. And just like I'm talking it through here today, suggesting know your body, do your research, and have those talks, ask the questions. Those are the same things. And
One thing that I'm sorry to interrupt, but one thing that I like during our prior discussion that you and I had about this, you said that it's not a death sentence.
it is not. I go back to that comment I made earlier where when I got the diagnosis and because of the way he handled it and his emotion, I thought I was going to walk outside and die because that's what I understood. Because not realizing how far medicine and the medical community have come in solving and treating breast cancer, it's not a death sentence anymore. Like anything, getting in front of it as soon as you can, just as my gynecologist was alluding to, and making sure that when you get in front of it, you start
Yes.
putting the measures in place to get past it and then to prevent it. That's really important. And that's with anything. I mean, whether it's medical or whether it's just something you're dealing with,
Yeah.
I promised God as I was going through my journey, I said, Lord, if you take me through this, I will be a testimony to the next woman that has to experience
Yeah.
what I'm going through. I knew nothing about it. I had to do all of my research on my own. And I took that up on myself to not heal me, but to heal others.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Now, I'm quite sure the women that you support and have encouraged through their journey really appreciate all that you have, offered to them in prayers, advice, or just listening and being there with them.
Yeah, because you would not imagine how many people just feel alone, right?
That's a
You
good
can
one.
have a lot of people around you and still feel alone.
That was one of my questions. Did you feel alone even though you had support around you?
Initially, I did feel alone because I was unfamiliar. And to your point, it wasn't a history of breast cancer in my family. So I was like the trailblazer for breast cancer, right? So from that viewpoint, I did feel alone. But from the support and just getting through the process and getting to the next stages, I didn't feel alone because my family was very present, whether they were physically there with me or even if they were a phone call away. I didn't feel like I was going through the journey by myself. I didn't get to
Yeah.
that point though until I got through got past the diagnosis because you're not going to be the same in any aspect. You're going to grow from it
Yeah.
and you're going to physically feel different from it. You're not necessarily going to come back to just be that same person because you're human and you're just not. Because now you've grown from it. You've gotten, a stripe under your belt as far as what you've achieved.
Yeah.
I don't look at it anymore as why did my body fail me? I
That's
look
good.
at it
Your perspective
as
changed.
yes. I look at it as that was an experience that the Lord took me through, be it something I didn't understand at the time, but I appreciate who I am today. I wouldn't be who I am today without having gone through that experience, and it allowed me to grow, not just mentally from a viewpoint of doing the research and becoming a little bit more intelligent about it,
Yeah.
but it allowed me to grow as far as understanding some of the women that I've talked to
Yeah.
and just seeing their journey and kind of helping them through that. It it did a lot for me as well. So it wasn't necessarily where, I was feeding into them and they were gaining, I was gaining too, because it was a part of my healing process as well.
That's so good. Full circle. We have come to the end of our session together. I hate when you leave. I love my time with you. But I do have one good question for you to
Okay.
end the episode of today. If someone has received their diagnosis and feels overwhelmed, what message of encouragement would you speak directly into their hearts?
Oh, that's such a great question. I would remind them that just because you got the diagnosis of breast cancer, it is not a death sentence. It does not end for you. It actually begins. Because once you go through this journey and you get past the treatments, the doctors, the pokes, the mental stages, all those things that are going to come about, just realize you're going to evolve into a new you. And that new person that you're going to evolve into is going to be so great and so grand. And the experience that you're going to go through is just an experience that is going to allow you to transition into the wonderful new being that God intends for you to be. Use your journey as an opportunity to help not only yourself, but the next person. And as you go through that journey, be one with God. Ask him, to continue to be in your life and to fulfill you and to make you strong. Learn from your experience and take that opportunity to just realize that you're going through this stage in life because this is something that God needed for you to do. There's a reason for the season, and be in that season. And I can't say enough just to evolve into who you are going to become. Embrace what it is that you're going to go through and realize that you're going to be the new best you that you could ever be.
Oh,
And I send nothing but love to you.
thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being on the podcast on today. I hope each and every one of you have enjoyed this episode. I pray that the one who has received a diagnosis recently feels encouraged. And like Amanda had pointed out, it's no longer a death sentence anymore. Draw closer to God in your journey so that you can be used by Him to encourage others. As always, be armed with your testimony, and we love you. Bye.